What is up? This is Mikhail with Hustle System, where art meets commerce. And today we are going to show you how to market on Instagram. Think of this as marketing on IG 101. So look, the reality is Instagram is pretty simple. It's a social network. And what you have to understand about that is it's made up of two very distinct and very different parts, okay? Social and network. Social means that there is a human element. Network means there's a network element. And what does that actually look like? What does that network actually look like? So here's the way that I want you to think about it, okay? Those two parts. You've got a system, right? You've got a system that runs and you got people on that system. That's what a social network is. Facebook, even YouTube. Instagram is no different. So when you start to think about that system and how it runs and how it interprets the data or the content that you're giving it, you have to understand first, how was it created, right? So I think a lot of people forget to do that, and so they overlook, and so their marketing on IG kind of is very hit and miss. But once you start to really realize, okay, some guys went and they created a platform for posting pictures. Then they sat there and they got traction. They got a bunch of users on this platform. And what did they have to do, right? As they went, they probably sifted through the photos themselves in the beginning. They were like, okay, all these photos, and this one's better than the other one's better. Then what they did, right? They probably took those rules that they were using themselves and they turned that into a set of rules known as an algorithm. They created a little script that says, look, this photo, thumbs up, this is a good photo. We want this out in our network. Or some other photo, they're like, this photo is a thumbs down. We don't want that in our network. So you had a bunch of humans that created these rules that then got turned into an algorithm, which is just a set of rules, okay? Don't let that word scare you. It's just a set of rules, guys, for deciding what content gets pushed out and what doesn't. And all of those things facilitate a business model, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to understand Instagram is a business. Yeah, sure, we all have fun. We post our photos and, all the girls go to Coachella and it's all fun and it's all gravy. But at the end of the day, we actually get to do that because Instagram has a business model that works. And so we get to use that platform ourselves as users and leverage that, which is pretty cool. So once you start to understand the business model and what's behind it and what drives it, you're now able to position your content better, okay? So that's gonna be the first part, is really taking a look at understanding what is that rule set and that algorithm that Instagram uses to decide whether or not it pushes content out or whether it holds content back. And we'll be talking about that in a second, right? But as I said, social network. So the first part is the system that everything runs on. Well, what's the second part? Well, it's pretty simple. It's you, right? It's me. It's everyone who's on it. It's the people. It's the human element. And this is the second part that is very, very important to understand, is why are these people on this network? Why? Why are people on Instagram? And here you'll get a long laundry list of why people are on it, right? To look at hot girls, to look at cool stuff, to post their own pictures, blah, 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 blah. But really, it comes down to one simple chemical known as dopamine, right? Validation. The average person is on Instagram to get some sort of hit of dopamine. Whether you post that photo and you get that new like, right? And you're like, oh, I got 10 new likes, awesome, dopamine hit, right? You get a comment, dopamine hit. You get a share, dopamine hit, right? You even get a bit of a dopamine hit with the filter structured, right? You start to adjust the colors and you realize, wow, I look really good. That's kind of cool because it makes it look a little bit surreal. You kind of look like a rock star, right? So once you start to really dial into that, right, you've got a system and you have all these people, and these people are looking for something. They want something. They want a certain sense of validation. Well, where is that validation going to come from? It's going to come from the community of the other users that are in this ecosystem. And to drive that validation, you need to have a very specific set of inputs that you deliver to the platform. And then if you do that, it feeds the system and it feeds the people. Okay. So look, everybody wants to be a part of something that's greater, right? It's part of us as humans. We want to be part of, a group, part of a tribe, part of a robust community, part of a movement. And Instagram is no different. Any other social network is actually no different. It leverages that to get people into the ecosystem and to get it performing, get those people doing the things that are good for the business model, for that business, right? And it's really ingenious because you're using the connection element of the human psyche to your advantage. So number one, right? We got the system. That's the first part. You have to understand it. There is a systematic, robotic element to the software, and that's what runs in the background. Is just how it is, right? Like if I was to ask you, hey, you've got several billion users or whatever they have now, how would you manage that, right? You'd probably try and build some sort of system that does it so that you don't have to wake up every day and manually rank photos. That probably would not be a good idea. And then you have the community human element that's driven very much by dopamine and validation within this community structure on top of that system. So let's reverse engineer, where we go from there, right? The magic word is engagement. So if we're talking Instagram marketing 101, that is the only thing that you need to be thinking about is engagement. And engagement on Instagram is only driven by two things. Super simple. Numbers and quality. Numbers and quality. So numbers, how many actions happened? And quality, what was the quality of those actions that happened? Okay, that's the way that the algorithm works. It's pretty simple. I'll give you an example. So let's say you have an account that has never posted anything before. They don't have any photos, and they go and they like your photo. Okay, and that counts as a certain metric on Instagram. But now let's say you have Justin Bieber, who has millions of followers, and he goes and likes your photo. Now, do you think that Instagram treats those the same? Okay, let me ask you, if you were the owner of Instagram and it was up to you to write a rule, would you treat those the same? Okay, so there's a pretty good, guess. Everybody's always trying to decipher the algorithm, and that's not what this video is about, because that algorithm is going to change in a month, in 3 months, in 5 months. But if you can understand how the founders are thinking, how the programmers are thinking about their platform, their baby, and creating that rule set, you can stay a little bit ahead or at least keep up with the decisions that they're making. So, if it was me, I would definitely make sure that Justin Bieber's little like gets a lot more traction in my algorithm than some guy who has never posted and has never contributed to that social community. So numbers plus quality. And let's look at some really, really simple things here, okay? You've got 4 types of engagement. You have likes, you have comments, you have shares, and you have follows, right? So if you start to really go and dial in to the content that you're creating, here's the biggest mistake that I see people make, okay? They don't give the people what they want. And that's a trap that I've fallen into. I think everybody who has tried to be successful on Instagram has fallen into this trap. You kind of create the content you want to create, and you end up doing some stuff that's really awesome that people resonate with, but then some other stuff that's kind of hit or miss. And if you start to play to that dopamine trigger that people have for their own validation and start to actually give the community what they want, what you're going to see is, again, a higher number of engagements, those likes, those comments, those shares, and a higher quality of those engagements, which is going to drive you up in the algorithm and get your profile getting more views, getting more likes, more comments. That robot is going to see, hey, this person's doing well. He's playing to my strengths, and it's going to boost you higher and higher and higher and higher in the rankings. So a really, really simple 3-step process that I advise to my clients to follow if they're just starting out on Instagram, or if they're doing well but they really want to grow. It's pretty simple. Number 1, give the people what they want. Look at the people that are following you. Take a look at who else they're following. Is there some sort of pattern here? Is there some sort of trend here? That maybe it's entrepreneurship, maybe it's motivation, maybe it's travel blogs. What is that thing that's really clicking with your audience? Go through and actually statistically analyze the posts that have gotten the most likes on your page. Well, why did that post get significantly more likes than this post? Now, if you're a hot girl, okay, you know what you need to post, but I'm not going to get into that. All right, it's pretty self-explanatory. So you're going to go analytically and look through that, and then you're going to give the people what they want. If something's working, give them more of that. Yeah, you can be an artist, right? But the best artists are artists that drive their art out into the market, and the market actually accepts their art and sees it, right? If you're just an artist sitting in a basement and you create all this great art and then nobody ever sees it, it's kind of pointless. Like, there's not really a whole lot of point except for you just kind of having an emotional release maybe, which is fair. We've all done it. So that's the first part, is give the people what they want. Number 2 is stay in your lane. I see this happen a lot too, where people will go and they'll create like motivational post, like entrepreneurship post, and then like something really random, like them like bass fishing. And I'm like, I mean, that's cool. Like, the bass fishing photo is awesome. And I guess it's cool if it's like a Facebook photo, right? So we talked about the community, like Facebook, for example, which is, Facebook owns Instagram. So Facebook's a very friendly platform, right? That's usually friends or colleagues or family members. But Instagram isn't quite driven by that same, small town vibe dynamic. So people that are following your page for let's say lifestyle or luxury, and all of a sudden they see a bass photo, they're like, well, where did this come from? So give the people what they want, but then stay in your lane. Whatever those things are that are working for the algorithm, feed more of that, not less of that. Because what you're doing is every time you feed the algorithm something that is not consistent with what your profile is about, you're actually confusing it. It's kind of like if you have, a girlfriend, right? Or a boyfriend, whatever you find, and it's like you're used to them coming home at 7 p.m. every single day. But then every other Thursday, for some reason, they just don't come home, right? So if you think of it that way, it's kind of like, you'd be like, wait, what's up with this inconsistency? The algorithm works the same way. So again, give the people what they want. That's gonna make sure your content is high quality and is getting the high number and the high quality of engagement. 2, stay in your lane. That's making sure you're not confusing the algorithm. Number 3, post consistently. Because what you have to understand is the way that Instagram is thinking about content, it wants to keep people on the platform. To keep people on the platform, it syndicates content to do that. So if I was to ask you like your favorite TV show, if they launched a new season, right? And they're like, new season of Game of Thrones or Billions or whatever's awesome, right? They launch it and then they get 4 episodes in, and then you're waiting there the next week and like the episode just doesn't come out. How would you feel about that if you were like really excited to see something and it just doesn't come out? Right? You'd probably be at least confused, if not upset, if not enraged, as some fans would be, right? So follow that same advice and post consistently. Now, again, this is one of those videos where the most consistent posting schedule is gonna vary as the algorithm evolves. But look at your stats, metricize it, figure out what content works, give the people what they want. Number 2, give it to them consistently, aka stay in your lane, and post consistently on the timeline so that people can know that, hey, if I follow this person, I can expect to see the type of content that I enjoy seeing from them consistently, and it's gonna be awesome. So we are going to do another video on how to monetize on Instagram. That's gonna be a whole nother topic, but hopefully this video was informational for you on how to think about marketing on Instagram and some specific things for you to do to get more likes, more follows, more shares. This has been Mikhail with Hustle System, where art meets commerce with Instagram Marketing 101. See you in the next one.